And
all right, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly TFFL webcast. Special playoff edition coming to you here on Thursday, December 17th. Again, happy holidays to everybody. Hanukkah's still going on. That may be why our commissioner is not joining us as of yet. We got things to talk about. We got round one of the 2020 TFFL playoffs in the books, and unfortunately, the Aliens not moving forward. Congratulations to the Sponge Fishermen, to everybody's favorite team, the Steel City Mongols, with a big playoff win. Chief, speaking of the Sponge Fishermen, Chief not here again this week either. Not sure if this is a recurring scheduling conflict or if he's now superstitious, having not been here last week and not going to join us as long as he's winning.
We may not see him until after the playoffs.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Fortunately, there's only 2 more weeks. We'll see Chief soon enough, and the 3 of us can handle this. So we're heading into our semifinals. We had 2 teams on a bye last week. Again, Sponge Fishermen and Mongols winning last week. And so the AMPAC and the Senators await those 2 teams in our semifinals. Let me do our panel intros here real quick. We've got our IT director, czar and CEO of the K-Wheels, Hank.
Good evening. Happy to be here. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. And high command from Jack's Giant Killers, Berto.
Stick, how's it going? Phil, you guys get much snow down there?
So we got very little, an inch or 2.
Not even, yeah, an inch at most, yeah. But some people in the area got more.
Yeah, we got like 8 or 9 inches up here, so the kids were out enjoying that today. So
I had to go out and shovel a thin layer of slush off tonight before it froze again, so just so it wouldn't be all icy on my sidewalk. But that's it.
I did nothing. I was so busy at work today that there's a lot of snow out there that I didn't walk outside today. So
get to it.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. So wrapping up our panel intros, I'm Stick, of course. General manager of TFFL Media, leader of the Aliens. And usually in the intros, one of you guys has some kind of interesting personal story to tell. I've got a great, well, who knows? This may get boring real quick, but let me try to tell.
We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah. So I may have reported to the TFFL. Some of you certainly know that at Kiplinger, I've been working with an NFL player, Brandon Copeland, linebacker for the Patriots, who is also a University of Pennsylvania Wharton personal finance professor. He wants to kind of grow a brand as a personal finance guy. And he's injured. He's out for the season. He's got a torn pec. And so he works with us on a monthly video for Kiplinger.com. And he's sort of like Nick in a sense. He's taken to calling me from his car as he's driving home from rehab, just to pass the time, talking about, we're not friends. We're talking about his video, but we get along well. And I wake up this Sunday morning on, game day for the playoffs. And I look at my phone and I've got texts waiting for me from Brandon Copeland, wants to talk about his video that he's doing for December. And I write back, I tell him when I might be available. And, he texts back and says, well, I really can't do it until like 12:30. The missus is making brunch, And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. 12:30, the fantasy, I didn't say this to him, but I wanted to, don't you understand the fantasy football playoffs are going on? I can't be mad. And the Patriots, of course, had played on Thursday night, and he's rehabbing his pec. So, I don't know how much football he was watching that day, but he certainly was not clued into the fact that I had things to be doing at 12:30. So I God bless him. I ended up talking to him. We had a good talk. And
did you get him off the phone by 1?
Got it. Well, and I'm kind of thinking the whole time, do I ask him one of my lineup challenges? And I couldn't help but ask him about Kirk Cousins versus Matt Ryan. And he was
ask them what they think.
He was pretty quick in his response to who are they playing, and I told him, and based on the fact that the Patriots had just shellacked the Chargers 45-0 or something, he said, definitely go with Matt Ryan against the Chargers. And of course, I went with Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Hold on.
I said this to somebody at work, and he's like, that's some kind of sin. You ask a professional football player for fantasy advice, and they don't even go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my story.
But it wouldn't have. But the good news or bad news, however you look at it, wouldn't have impacted either way. So
No, and I made the right decision. In fact,
right. Yeah, and you made the right decision. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to ask me whether how that played out, and I don't know if
you can just say, "Oh, I lost."
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So hey, let me give you guys a trivia question. You got a chance to rack up some points here without Chief or Berkman here. We're going to be talking. We've been talking a lot about the Mongols. We'll keep talking about the Mongols. They're a great source of trivia questions. We talked last week, in fact, in our trivia segment about their last playoff, appearance. How many times have they made the playoffs in the last dozen or so years? They just won a playoff game last week. Congratulations to the Mongols. How long ago was it that the Mongols last won a playoff game? If you can give me the exact year, I'll give you 5 points. Get within 1 year of the correct year, you can get 2 points. And take a stab at which team they beat in the playoffs. And if you nail that, I'll give you another 5 points.
All right, you're gonna have to repeat all that.
We need
Essentially, what year did the Mongols last win a playoff game in?
Year.
And who did they beat?
Who?
Who did they beat?
Year and who? Okay.
Yep. Shot in the dark.
Yeah, it's a
But a lot of points on the line if you can.
We just went through this last week of what years that they made it. Forgot already. God damn it.
All right. I don't know if anybody is really prepared to do this, but this would normally be the time we do some standings, and we don't really need to do standings, but maybe we could quickly refresh the draft order now that we have a couple more teams. I think I can pull up Rich's commissioner report in his absence, as long as I don't get distracted here.
Great.
All right, so our draft order. Number 1 overall, Slippery Beavers. Number 2, Boba Fats. Number 3, K-Wheels.
Yep.
Number 4, Lizards. Number 5, Dirt Devils. Number 6, Jack's Giant Killers. And we can now say the number 7 team in the draft will be the Aliens. Number 8, the Hormel Hams.
Yeah. All right.
There you go. We'll know more. We'll know more in a week, and we'll know the final order in 2 weeks. All right. We don't really have a commissioner's report. I think people know what to do in terms of COVID picks and final free agent moves during the playoffs by our remaining free agent teams. I don't know if there's much more the commissioner would be saying this week.
No, he blew us off anyway, so no commissioner report.
Well, but yeah, we did get a nice commissioner report on email, though.
We did.
At 1:34 in the morning or whenever he submitted that. So
he might be taking a nap.
Keep up the hard work, Rich. Keep up the hard work.
He's keeping odd hours these days, so you're right. Maybe it's napping.
He might be on China time or something.
All right, so let's get right to it. We got we're in the playoffs. We're down to 4 teams, 2 games. Let's not waste a lot of time talking about much else. Amsterdam Packers versus the league favorites, the Steel City Mongols. We talked a little bit about this before we came on the air. There's some curious decisions in play across, at least across the Amsterdam Packers. I just want to make sure I understood what the heck was going on earlier on email with Rich adjusting the Impact lineup. Is Ralph? Should he be doing that? Should Ralph? Go ahead.
I mean, you saw that he had an extra player in, so
that's an illegal lineup. That's an illegal. Why are we fixing it?
I think he was texting Ralph though, so I don't know how that all played out. But whether Ralph responded to his text or not is $1 million question. But I don't know.
Suspect.
It's very weird. Keenan Allen is playing in this game.
Yes.
And he's in the Ampac lineup, every week. So the last, last week he had 8 points. Okay, week 13, not much, but then weeks 11 and 12, 13 and 10, respectively. So that is a big hit, not having Keenan Allen in your lineup, and he was healthy. So, or not, I don't know if he's totally healthy, but he's playing.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's playing.
I should quickly stress for our viewers that, it's Thursday night. There is an NFL game going on, Chargers versus Raiders. And to Berto's point, and to broaden that, there is nobody in action right now in the two key TFFL games. So we won't be too distracted by the game. But Keenan Allen is on the AMPAC bench with no fantasy points here as we approach halftime. But yeah, that's one curious decision in his lineup.
Well, and it may, Ralph may have, however that decision transpired, again, at halftime looks to be a good one right now. So.
Sure. The bigger issue I had here, just very quick glance, is Jerick McKinnon in this lineup. I guess Mostert may not play, but this McKinnon didn't. I'm looking at a blurb right now. Didn't even get an offensive snap in week 14. Leonard Fournette on the bench. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ronald Jones has a broken finger and is probably not playing this week. So I'm that was one that jumped out at me, and maybe the AMPAC are still tinkering with this lineup, but too late, obviously, if there's any value in it to get Keenan Allen in there. And I wonder if there's some more changes maybe still to come here. Yeah,
I mean, Ralph knows. Ralph, I won't put him in Nick's category of sleeping through part of the season or part of the off season. He knows what time it is. He knows where he's at right now. So he's going to make those adjustments. And, it must have been that he didn't like that Keenan Allen was, a big question mark for a Thursday night game and put him on the bench, which is looking good. And he's going to tweak the rest of this lineup, to your point, Stick. So it won't look like this come Saturday or Sunday.
Well, yeah, I McKinnon still is a question mark to me because he wouldn't have been in the lineup last. I don't know if he was in there. He shouldn't have been. That suggests Ralph put him in there for this week. But yeah, I would point out one thing I flagged here is Ralph and the Amsterdam Packers have 0 free agent picks remaining, if I was reading Rich's report right, which is not really an issue. I'm just bringing it up to say that Ralph has actually been very engaged with this team this year, despite the fact that he may not always be so engaged with us. So, yeah, I trust he'll at least be looking at this lineup, if not making some adjustments.
But I think our webcast airs past his bedtime, so he may not be awake,
I trust he's not watching us.
No, God, no.
And wasn't Badass or somebody saying he didn't have a kicker? He does have a kicker on his bench. So even though Gonzalez is questionable, he's got Bullock. So he's got somebody to play.
Now, the concern here potentially is at quarterback. If something happens to Russell Wilson, the AMPAC can't do anything. They have
right. But I thought I saw something specifically about the kicker. But he does have a backup kicker.
Yep.
Yeah, but Bullock sucks. I mean, against Pittsburgh, he's got to play him.
Yep.
True. I'm just saying it's a kicker. So.
And Hank, you shouted out about Zeke Elliott. I mean, I think he's got to be in his lineup. But
yeah, of course he does. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm biased or I am unbiased in this assessment. I want the AMPAC to get absolutely pounded, and I'm cheering unabashedly for the Mongols. Let's go, Mongols. Let's win this week. But if you look at the AMPAC, it's about Russell Wilson, and if he goes off, they're going to be formidable because it's what he does. And if Dalvin Cook does what Dalvin Cook does, that makes it even harder. I think both of those two have got toughish matchups. The Redskins or the Washington football team has been no joke on D. They've been decent. The Vikings are playing Chicago, which they might score some points, but it's always a tough game. McKinnon and Patrick don't scare me at all. And so let's go, Mongols. Josh Allen and A.J. Brown and Kenny Drake, Dobbins scored last week. Let's see it again.
Hayden Hurst scare you?
Hayden Hurst, what is he doing in the lineup in the playoffs? Hayden Hurst, are you kidding me? Come on, Ralph.
So here's a few things about the AMPAC. and actually this game, if you were to go back 6 weeks and envision, or not even 6 weeks, even a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever, and envisioned the Mongols against the AMPAC, and the AMPAC being what?
5.5 point dog naturally.
5.5 point dogs, you would have never believed that. But fact of the matter is, you've got teams who have gone in two different directions. Russell Wilson, you look at 5 of his last 6 weeks. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3 out of his last 5 weeks. All right. He's got 4, 9, and 10 points in 3 of those 5 weeks. Yeah. Last week was the Jets, right? Yep. Week 26, so we're going to throw that one out the window anyway because it's the Jets. So before that, 10, 9, 17, 4. Not great. And as Phil pointed out, Washington is tough. So that's Russell Wilson. Zeke, is just not Zeke in that offense.
No.
Dalvin Cook is a stud, even going against Chicago. He's going to do fine. Tim Patrick, I think, is actually doing pretty good. And he's a 23rd ranked wide receiver. And the last couple of weeks, he's put up 14 and 7. And I kind of think that game is going to be a shootout, but that's going to impact the Mongols. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. He's going to put up points. So this team is still very dangerous because you've got people like Dalvin Cook and Tyreek Hill. But a guy like Tim Patrick is absolutely a wild card because, he's one of those guys that is ascending, and it kind of is a type of guy that you want in the lineup right now. And you got to – I'm sure Ralph looked at this tonight, saw that Keenan Allen was healthy, and said, you know what? I have to play Tim Patrick, and I'm going to play Tyreek Hill, obviously. So the decision came down to Hurst and Keenan Allen, and he just felt like, Keenan Allen wasn't 100%, I guess. I don't know. Hayden Hurst has done nothing. He scored 2 points over the last 5 weeks. 0, 0, 2, 0, 0. So that I don't understand.
No, they're playing Atlanta, maybe, or sorry, they're playing Tampa. He plays for Atlanta. They're playing Tampa. That's not a great matchup, I don't think, for tight ends.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So then you go back to who are his other options there? Okay, so it's Emmanuel Sanders and
Devontae Parker.
Waiting on what's going to happen with Devontae Parker.
Yep, he's hurt. You got nothing. I mean, that's the thing. Look at the Mongols receiving core. The Mongols receiving core is strong. Robert Woods and Allen Robinson and A.J. Brown, that's a formidable trio of receivers that they're putting up against it. I like those guys better than Ralph's.
Well, somebody said this before we went on. The Mongols have the better lineup here, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The AMPAC have Russell Wilson, Dalvin Cook, and Tyreek Hill, as probably the 3 most explosive players in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And if those guys go off, the AMPAC obviously can beat anybody in this league. But yeah, I think the Mongols have the better top to bottom lineup. And I would point out, including you look at that receiving core, I can't help but point out that Allen Robinson traded to the Mongols by the Aliens. A.J. Brown traded to the Mongols by the Aliens. Looking up at the running back core, Kenyon Drake traded to the Mongols by the Aliens. Well done.
I traded with Woods, so Wheels got a piece.
You're only looking at one side of the equation. What did you get for those guys?
I can tell you it's not a pretty picture.
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's not a pretty picture, but you know what? You won your division, so
there you go. Do you guys have anything else on this game?
Yeah, I do actually. So we talked a lot about the impact. I mean, the Mongols again. Josh Allen ascending, Dobbins ascending, Jeff Wilson. All right. I mean, he put up some points last week. Kenyon Drake, okay, and then the receivers ascending. So he's got guys on the upswing that maybe not name recognition, particularly at the running back slot, but the guys they've been getting better rather than worse. So it's a big thing. And Josh Allen, you want him in the lineup versus against Denver, which I again think that one's going to be a shootout. The over-under on here is 49.5. I prefer Josh Allen over Russell Wilson against Washington.
I like that. I want to you said that, that Tim Patrick is the kind of guy you want in the lineup. I think Jeff Wilson falls in that category too. I would rather have him this week than Jerick McKinnon. Honestly, they're playing Dallas, right? That's the kind of guy that can be a difference maker. I think he'll outscore Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, and he scored last week. Yeah, so some momentum there as well.
Yeah.
All right, a couple quick notes to wrap up this game. We didn't say this at the top, but obviously the Amsterdam Packers get the 2.5 home field advantage points in this game, yet still the Mongols are actually the favorite. If I'm reading this correctly here, and not missing anything, there is one piece in action on Monday night to decide this game potentially. That's the Steelers defense for the Mongols playing against Cincinnati. Potential there for points for the Steelers defense on Monday night to close things out for the Mongols. And if I may, I'm going to wrap this one up with a little fantasy football draft lesson, if I can. Take a look down the Mongols bench, and you will see a guy named Hunter Henry on the bench, 8 points tonight. And I'm not going to argue that Hunter Henry belongs in the starting lineup because he doesn't. But going back to the Mongols draft and not to belabor that too much because they've obviously had a good season. But, Hunter Henry is one of those tight ends. What did he go, third round for the Mongols?
Yeah.
And people do that every year, and I've probably been guilty from time to time. Let me go get that tight end in the third round who I know is going to be a productive tight end. I'll be able to start him whenever I need to. Here you are in the playoffs. Hunter Henry's having the best season of his career. He's going to be a 70 catch, 750 yard, 5 touchdown. That's what you expect in a, best case scenario for Hunter Henry. You're getting it, and he's not starter worthy for you. He's just not. Tight ends like that are just not upside picks.
You could also look at Darren Waller, who was where'd you get him, Phil? Second round,
18th overall.
If I were in the playoffs, or Phil still had him, he would absolutely be in the lineup. So
yeah, he's in.
Darren Waller was the number 1 tight end on the board and proved himself last year as a legitimate fantasy starter.
Yeah.
This again, 70 catches, 700 yards is kind of the ceiling we've known for Hunter Henry. He's not, so he's meeting his ceiling, and he's still not starter worthy. Don't go wasting a draft pick on those kind of tight ends.
Hey, if you go back and read Hank's draft review right after it happened, I absolutely ripped them for taking Hunter Henry, saying that he's not the kind of player the Mongols should be drafting. I also said they had a terrible draft and were going the wrong direction. So they're doing a hell of a job of shoving it right back in my face, which is fantastic. And I've told them that. But
in my face too. I ate crow. Josh Allen, I hated it. But here we go.
Hey, I will own it and eat it, and I want them to win this week. I wish them the best of luck. And I do think Josh Allen versus Russell Wilson is maybe the key matchup for this game and the playoffs. These are two potentially, high-scoring guys. Let's see what they can do. I think this week we might all agree that I like Allen's matchup better, and I like his ceiling.
And the Wheels and Killers are in unison on this, rooting against the AMPAC.
There you go.
Correct.
No other division roots against their own. We eat our own.
Yeah, we eat our own, for sure. Yeah.
All right, our other game, defending champion Sponge Fishermen, number 1 seed, the Senators. 2.5 home field advantage points, obviously, for the Senators in this one. And yet, it is worth pointing out, both of these games, the underdog is the favorite. Our top 2 seeds with buys, the AMPAC and the Senators, both underdogs in their first game action here in the playoffs. This one's not so complicated. We said it last week in looking at the aliens versus the sponge. Same thing here. I think, if Chief keeps getting 40-plus points out of Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, that's a recipe for a victory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game is kind of a similar story, maybe a little bit different because the Sponge are less of a surprise right now, but Sponge ascending and the Sens, they've got some holes here or some issues, but it's still a good lineup for sure. The running backs I think are good. Gallman being in there is, I think, probably the right thing. He may look at that again. I don't know. Hunt, I think, has got to be in there. Kamara's got to be in there. Hopkins. This team could easily put up a lot of points, but it doesn't seem like the Sens are as dominant as they were earlier in the season. They're not as good right now.
No, and there's one reason for that. Kyler Murray, and we gushed about him earlier in the season. I just had up his numbers. I could rattle, but he was 20 points every week, 25 points, 30, 35. I mean, week after week, I think for about 9 straight weeks, he was 20-plus, 30-plus often. And let's pull this up. You look at it now. His last few weeks, 12 points, 18 points, 2 points, 16 points. That's a big difference from where he was before, 24, 33, 35. That's a big come down. That's 15, 20 points a week right there.
Yeah.
Well, and Clyde Edwards-Hilaire has all of a sudden disappeared as well from the starting lineup, as the number 1 overall pick this year. And he's, Wayne Gallman's in the lineup.
Yeah.
Wayne Gallman is in the lineup. I mean, it's interesting.
Tyler Lockett is another one. Or at least I kind of gushed about him when the Senators got him. Here's a guy with potential, 2-3 touchdown games this year, potential for big games. Mm-hmm. But since week 8, he has 1 touchdown and no 100-yard games. So he's doing nothing for the Senators either.
Yeah. Yep.
That's because Russell loves DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne Gallman, just going back to that for a second, I don't think you can argue with him being in. I mean, 9, 15, 10, 7. That's pretty good.
I'm not arguing him being in. I think I'm more pointing to the fact that the Senators have fallen off a lot since their early season. They were the best team early on.
Alvin Kamara is another one. We've seen since Taysom Hill went in the lineup for the Saints that Kamara is not the same fantasy player. He's not catching nearly as many balls. So when you look at Murray, Lockett, and Kamara, all with noticeable declines, this is a weakened Senators team. I think it's pretty clear the Sponge are the favorites in this game.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, and what we're talking about here is both the teams who were the number 1 seeds in the conferences got a bye last week. If I'm not incorrect, we're picking against both of them, or at least I'm picking against both of them and saying I think the Mongols and the Sponge are going to win these games, and the 2 teams' byes are going to be watching.
Yeah.
Hank's never right, so we'll see.
Now, I'm sorry, Stick, what were you going to say?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, looking at the Sponge, lineup looks real good. Damian Harris is questionable, but other than that, Drew Lock lit up Carolina last week for 4 TDs, right? I think Green Bay is probably going to go nuts on a faltering Carolina team this week, if I had to guess. That over-under is 51.5 high. The other thing, too, is Cooper Kupp is in the lineup. So I twisted Chiefs' nipples a little bit about that trade and said it sucked. And I think I was just more pissed off than anything else. But I did go back and listen. In week 12, we didn't like it. Expensive, don't love for the Sponge. Where is it going to go in the lineup? He gave up a 1 for him. He doesn't slot into the lineup easily. Blah blah blah. Those were all things that we said
Yep.
on that Week 12 webcast. Between minutes 32 and 37, by the way, in case anyone wants to look that up.
Wow.
But now maybe he was looking ahead and he saw, okay, who is Cooper Kupp playing? Maybe I don't need him for week 14, or yes, I have injuries or whatever, but maybe he saw, okay, week 15, he's playing against the Jets. Week 16, I don't know who he's got next week. Let's see. Seattle, another team that you're going to throw the ball against. So, maybe he was looking at that in addition to, some potential injuries he had there. I didn't love it when he made the trade. It was a lot to give up for number one, but the fact of the matter is he's in the lineup now when it could really matter. So Chief may be brilliant on picking him up if Kupp goes nuts against the hapless Jets this week.
He might.
This is our defending champs. I kind of get the sense that Chief is in his zone right now at the top of his game as a fantasy GM. He might very well have been looking at something as precise as that, as Kupp's Week 15 matchup. Maybe that was a big part of that trade for him.
I mean, you have to be looking at when you're making a trade to bring somebody in the lineup for the playoff run. You have to be looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt he plays that way, looking ahead like that, and kudos to Chief. And I hope it works out well. And good for him. I am gonna see if this works here. I think maybe we're gonna have a late guest addition to the webcast if he's there. I see his audio, but maybe not his video. Are you there, sir?
I am here.
There he is. All right.
How are you, gents? I had no idea we were gonna. It's funny actually. Liz, who's here, said, "Are you guys doing your thing tonight?" And I was like, "I didn't see an email from him. I don't know."
Check your email.
And then I got into watching the game, and I was doing stuff with Andrew, so didn't realize it.
We thought maybe you were taking a nap and then getting up at 3 a.m. to do something.
Hey, that's right. I need one. I'll tell you that. But yes, there's been some late nights going on. But I could not let the TFFL hang without its commissioner's report. Before the games got going, I knew I was going to have quite a busy day today, so we got her done.
Yes, you did. Well done.
All right. Let us.
How is everybody? I see some fresh haircuts. It would appear from some of the TFFL.
I got one last week, but
last week I think too.
All of us, I guess. Yeah.
Right on. I did as well.
Nice.
Nice.
Happy holidays.
Full fresh haircuts for the whole TFFL panel.
Yep. Everybody gets screwed.
Hey,
Cheers
so
to that.
No bourbon. What do you got?
No. Today we're on speed metal.
Oh, I was saying fuzzy navel.
Okay.
Nope, not a fuzzy navel, but it has a cool top. It's from Trillium, and that's not your eyes. That's how the label is, a little blurred.
Okay.
It's called speed metal, and it's pretty tasty, if I'm saying so myself.
Is Trillium a plant?
That's the metal they use in Black Panther for the shield.
Speed metal.
What
What was your question, Stick?
Is Trillium a planet? What is Trillium when you say it's Trillium?
It is. Is it one in the Aliens, galaxy or system?
I'm not familiar with it.
Trillium is a beer brewing company. It's based here in Massachusetts. It has made one of the top 5 beers in the world.
Wow.
And there happens to be one of their brewery outlets about 15 minutes from my house in Canton, Massachusetts.
All right.
There you go.
I regret that we don't have Chief on here to give his review of this particular beer.
I'm sure he's
There you go. I do too.
Yeah. All right. So, Rich, we're just wrapping up our talk about the 2 playoff games. Let me throw a couple final notes in here on the Sponge versus Senators.
All right. Do I need the TFFL question before you reveal it too?
Sure. All right. Real quick. Here's your trivia question. 2-parter.
Hang on. All right. What do you got?
Just in time, in fact. Name the last year that the Mongols won a playoff game, having obviously just won one in 2020. how long do you have to go back to find the last time they won a playoff game? What? Give me the year, and take a stab at the team they beat in that last playoff victory.
Got it. Okay. And now we're talking the playoff games going on now.
Yeah, and so we're pretty much done. I was just going to point out with the Sponge and the Senators, this is a game that does not have any Monday night action as of the moment. But that big Green Bay Packers game for the Sponge Fishermen is actually on Saturday night. So we'll know fairly early in this one whether he's putting up the points he needs from Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams.
Right on.
Let me give two other kind of just totally random topics for conversation to wrap up our roundtable chat. We can engage Rich on these, and then we'll go back and do a quick Commissioner's Corner. We are watching Thursday night action right now. I just wanted to flag, I really don't have a question here, but Justin Herbert over 200 yards basically at the half, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is he is a keeper for the Boba Fats. We established that many weeks ago. Mm-hmm. This guy's a stud. This guy is, I don't know where he's going to fall in the rankings, but this isn't just some rookie with potential. He is already a kind of dominant fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree right out of the gate. I was actually a little bummed I missed out on grabbing him to a degree, but then again, my hope is that Dak Prescott comes out back very strong. He's solid. When you watch him play, he has, right out of the gate when he first, Tyrod Taylor dropped out, he stepped in right away and he looked poised. Yep. He looked ready to play. He's super accurate. He's got wheels, and he won't leave the pocket unless he has to. Very strong arm, and you could tell that he just has the wherewithal to run through his progressions in a very poised manner, as I was saying before. So I couldn't agree with you more, Stick. He's a keeper. He was a diamond in the rough. Nobody drafted him, which was even more amazing that he came out in the free agent pool. And look at that. There still are diamonds in the rough.
Mm-hmm. And he's doing it tonight, for instance, but for much of the year without a stud receiver core. Keenan Allen's a great receiver, but tonight Keenan Allen is not a factor. Mike Williams, 1 catch for 8 yards, not a factor. He's doing this throwing to
Hunter Henry, yeah.
KJ Hill Jr., Jalen Guyton, Tyron Johnson. Who are these guys?
Yeah, exactly. Tyron Johnson, when he scored that touchdown, the first thing I turned to Andrew and I said, well, there's a guy I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah.
KJ Hill Jr., 3 catches for 39 yards. Never heard of this guy. And Hunter Henry. I mean, he's a stud quarterback. Good for the Boba Fats for landing him. The other player I wanted to bring up for 1 minute of discussion, damn it, is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard coming through with a touchdown in the playoff game for the Aliens. I know we lost, but somewhat justifying that keeper selection, maybe.
He goes right next to Deontay Foreman in the Aliens Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Stick. I'll give it to you. Yes, he came through for you in the right time. Was that worth a keeper? Could you have picked up, I don't know, Brandon Ayuk or whoever else, whatever, mid-season and gotten Pollard, on the waivers if you really liked him that much? My guess is you could have gotten him at some point, unless Ralph had picked him up as a backup. Then you would have missed out on it. But other than that, kudos to you. You started him at the right moment. He gave you a touchdown, and it added to the Aliens' efforts relative to your playoff game. So rock and roll, man.
Yeah, we squeezed.
I was just looking something up to see what his contract looked like, Tony Pollard's. And so he's not a free agent until 2023.
Yeah, he should have 2 more years on that rookie deal.
On the rookie deal, yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
that would be interesting, if he could get out of there somehow, but I don't think he will.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. There's no question.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what was your guys' take on the 2 playoff games, if you're just giving me, the 1-2 on it?
we're agreeing unanimously with what we're seeing on the site, which is that the two lower seeds are the favorites in this game.
We're on board with the Mongols and the Sponge coming out as the victors this weekend, upsetting, theoretically seed-wise, the AMPAC and the Senators.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's interesting because, the Senators definitely have, I won't say struggled, but, their point totals have come down a little bit towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right. And same with the Packers, relative to, some of the performances that they've, had towards the end of the season. Two teams that started tremendously strong, but it just goes to show you how things can change, as the season goes along and what happens at the end. This is why people who stream a few things towards the end and pick up a pretty, good few free agents or things that pop in, it can make all the difference, Are there difference makers on either of these teams? I don't know. Let's see. Real quick. I mean, maybe not. Jeff Wilson is in the game for the Mongols.
Yeah.
And that maybe paid off based on some of the injuries that have occurred there. He's got a few red stars next to him. I think what the Pack and the Senators need, I know the lines favor the other teams, but you look at Kamara playing Kansas City. If he goes nuts, that changes things.
Senators need Kyler Murray and Alvin Kamara, and the AMPAC need Dalvin Cook and Russell Wilson and Tyreek Hill. And if those guys all come to play, it's going to be they're going to be tough to beat.
Right. That's the key. The studs have to show up, and it's all about matchups. And Cook definitely does not have an easy challenge going up against Chicago.
Nope.
All right, hey, Rich,
Can't say I disagree with you guys, but I do see plenty of potential for these to be very, closer than what the odds are showing. Me, I hate that fucking algorithm. Pardon the language on there. I don't think it's usually right.
These should be two good games. I think we have the four best teams left standing here.
See, here's my thing about this algorithm. I think it starts out pretty good. Like now,
right.
The way it shows right now is fine. The issue with this algorithm, which is different than like ESPN or other sites, which I think has a better algorithm, is that it's sometimes it's going to show 99-1, and there's like, I know I have a more than a 1% chance of winning this game. Like it doesn't react well during the games. But I think right now, usually pre-games, it's fairly accurate, which is easy to do. I mean, any of us can sit down and predict, those scores. I mean, I think that part of it's pretty good. It's just, it doesn't update throughout the day very well, which is the problem.
The other thing, though, is I think it's a little misleading, too. And I think psychologically, some people, not everyone, I'm certainly not myself, but others, if they're paying attention to it, it can distract you from who you think you should start, is my point. So I'll get just a couple examples. We see oftentimes it'll pop up to you and say, after the weekend when we get the stupid algorithm thing, Rich Berkman started XYZ and ABC, which made him a great coach because, it went against what we had suggested in ABC. Well, that almost happens all the time because they're usually not right. There was two guys I picked up. Like I'll use one example for you. Gesicki and Hurst, two tight ends, right? Now, anyone who's watching the games or see what's going on, you could see Gesicki's been, to his guy, right? And not only that, but he is basically the best receiver on their team had been over the previous weeks. And the algorithms and the things were recommending anybody but him. They were recommending Hurst over him. They were, and I was like, you guys are fucking idiots. This is not that. And sure enough, he puts up 2 touchdowns in 65 yards and Hurst gets like 2 points, right? Mm-hmm. So my point is that I think it's often misleading, which maybe plays to advantages for guys like us who used to do all the hard work with pencils and pens and looking at stats and looking, digging in when it wasn't an even game with all these, let's call them knockoff fantasy players that just use sites and algorithms and all that shit. Now, let me tell you something. ESPN, they use Watson. They're freaking good.
Mm. So Watson, I mean, maybe CBS's Watson isn't quite as good as what ESPN has got. Look, if all of that stuff's supposed to be a guidepost. If they could tell us exactly what was going to happen, man, we'd all go make a fortune in Vegas betting games. They can't tell you, but they can give you their best idea and give you some ideas. And I like it just because it gives you, hey, they think this guy's going to have a good game this week. What does the ESPN site say? What does this insight say? I mean, give me more data points, and we all want that.
Yeah, we're all going to other sites or other areas to get information and then coming back to CBS to maybe check a couple things and tweak our lineup, but we're going to other sources. And honestly, the other sources had, at least my thing that I ran multiple times, was stick in last place and Phil in first place, and that didn't happen.
No, absolutely.
Rich, are you suggesting that weaker minds across the TFFL may be influenced by these shitty recommendations? Yeah,
that's right.
But superior franchises like the Lizards.
Yeah.
That's right. We're not cool by that shit. We just get hurt by injuries.
Right. Hey, Rich, you've got the floor now. Commissioner's Corner. Any final updates, news, notes, reminders?
Yep. I can't say there's much to report. We've had a good season. We've had a good first round of the playoffs. We're off and running. The only thing that is worth mentioning to the viewers out there who are the teams in action are that if there's any COVID-related issues, we're going to roll it this week. So, what I would suggest is get them out, before the games tomorrow on Saturday. There's 2 games on Saturday. One that starts at 4:30 and then another one around 8, I think.
Yep.
My lovely Bills will be playing the first game. And Sunday morning, I'll just give you a heads up. Let me know on the COVID stuff as early as possible. I will be skiing on Sunday, midday. So I'll need to get that in relatively early. Or I do have a backup that can help out. So Terry, if you're out there, I may need your support Sunday morning based on, if there's any COVID issues.
Hey, I had one question for you. Was there commissioner contact with the AMPAC today about their lineup?
Yes.
Okay. So all sorted?
We're all sorted. Ralph is good to go.
Good.
Made his decisions, all was good. I informed him that he had an illegal lineup at the moment and that I had taken the action to adjust it. Earlier in the day, it was determined that Allen was going to be out. So I moved him out of the lineup and I made him aware of that. Allen, I believe, came back in, and I also alerted him that I saw that he came back in. So whether he wanted to move him in or not, that was his accord. I don't know if he did.
I'm trying to decide whether I want to make a big issue out of this or not. There should be no helping of Ralph with his lineup. If he can't get on and fix it himself, then he's a big boy.
There was no, you know what? I was not responding to Ralph. I was responding to his opponent, badass Bobby Vaughn, who seemed overly concerned about the issue. So it wasn't for Ralph's benefit. It was for Bobby Vaughn's benefit that I did what I did. I'm not helping anybody. You can bitch and moan as much as you want. I was looking out for the better part of the league, and relative to that.
Look, okay.
Just to defend Ralph, just so you're aware, to defend Ralph. Ralph was on it. He knew exactly what was going on. He did not need my help.
Listen, I was gonna let it go, but now you make it that way. I'm gonna bring it up.
All right, bring it up.
The commissioner should not be updating anyone about a lineup decision they need to make. If they need to make it, they need to make it. If badass comes and says, "Hey, I'm worried about this commit," all you can say is, if he doesn't make a change, there is a penalty to do that. This is an illegal lineup. If you're adjusting things for him, I call a question about that. Why are you touching his lineup?
Yeah, I only touched it because it was illegal, and
exactly.
I didn't have any good knowledge. But here, the point was I texted him before I did that. Right?
Why?
I just texted him to let him know he had an illegal lineup. I would do that to any of you.
It was a perfect phone call, Phil. It was perfect.
Yeah. There's absolutely no
Fair
collusion.
enough. Fair enough. I did not. Again, I would have never even known about it unless his opponent brought it up and had concern. And when I informed him of it, the opponent had no issue with it and was thankful. So the fact that it went down the way it did, all good. I'll take that into account in the future, Phil, and I'll make sure to ignore.
Look, hey, because badass, you messed up there, man. You could have had an absolute penalty on Ralph, and I don't know if it's an automatic loss. I don't know what the penalty is, but it's severe. And the fact that you were concerned about it, okay, and I understand what Berkman is.
I think the impact would have been 0 because.
So I can tell you what happens. What happens is when you have an illegal lineup, when you go into your own team, it would show up as 0 on the meaning no team would show up at all. So it's actually a disadvantage for Bobby Vaughn to a degree as well. He doesn't know who he's playing against, right?
Wouldn't it be a forfeit?
They can't make decisions. No, it's not a forfeit. It's not necessarily a forfeit if you fix it in time.
He just wouldn't have had. There would have been no points tonight if he had Keenan Allen in the lineup. That would have been an issue, actually. If he had.
Yeah.
What if he let them in? Why
Again, I point out to the fact that Ralph immediately said, "Hey, I was just getting to it."
Sure he was.
Right?
Sure
Meaning he was already on it before he even said anything.
Just like he's going to get me a pick, loser pick.
Take control.
All right. Trivia answers. Let's shift to.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Damn it. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Let's call it the.
Oh, Hank, you're so close.
I'm close.
Fuck. That means I'm way off.
Yeah, I'm way off.
I didn't make the playoffs for a really long time.
Last week I think we talked about them last making the playoffs in 2015, and then not until 2007. I think before that, their last playoff victory actually was 2006, 14 years ago.
Wow. God damn it. I would have gotten that anyway.
And in the first round of the playoffs in 2006, the Steel City Mongols beat the K-Wheels.
Wait a second. I got that.
Yeah, okay. Berto gets 2 points?
5 points.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes.
I wasn't ready for that.
I think Berto was creeping up in the standings. We'll find out here in a second.
Well, with a 5-pointer, he definitely is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still lagging big time.
He's still back a bit. All right, so Berto gets 5 and Bork gets a 0. All right, so our season totals now. Hank is still leading with 28, but Borkman and Berto are now tied with 24 each.
Dang it.
Okay.
There you go. Our guests are way back. They're 17 collectively.
Okay.
As silly as this is, this works out to be a nice, tight competition.
Very nice competition.
All right.
Yeah, something.
If Chief were here all the time, he would be having double the points, but
yeah.
I'm looking forward to him asking questions next year. We'll
yeah.
get new non-Mongols questions in the mix.
But I think it's just going to turn to stick kicking our ass, guys, which will be unfortunate, but we'll see.
When is the last year the AmPac won the Pac Bowl?
We actually asked that one a few weeks ago. It's farther back than you
think. 2006.
Yes. That blew me away. I was looking at that earlier today. I'm like, wow.
That was in my retort email back to Ralph.
I love that. Good.
Nonsense.
When's the last time the Killers won? I know that answer.
2015.
2015 lost to the Lizards in 16.
I haven't been in it since the 2013 disaster.
Why was that a disaster?
Because I lost to Berto in a heartbreaker, 80-79 at the buzzer.
13.
Yeah, we just talk about that game on what was it, Monday night? Was it Monday night's game?
Ooh.
How about the line? The line was 4.5, and for them to get that safety with that last stupid play, like Vegas must have been nuts.
They know.
That's insane that they know that.
They know.
That one blew my mind. that the extra 2 points came in with that garbage crap, and the line was 4.5.
Mm-hmm. You watch Scott Van Pelt's show ever where he does that?
Oh yeah,
It's funny. Yeah.
bad breaks,
Bad breaks, bad beats.
bad beats. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
All right. Hey, good luck to our 4 remaining teams. We'll be back here next week. And we'll have to talk about when we're going to get together next week. It is Christmas week next week. But we'll presumably be back here talking about the Packed Bowl to come. And again, good luck to the 4 teams going at it this weekend. Happy holidays to everybody.
Happy last night of Hanukkah.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, happy holidays.
And enjoy the weather out there. Kramer, loved that video today. Kids are going to enjoy some sledding for a while here. Berto, how much snow up there?
8 inches, maybe.
Okay, that'll stick around for.
How about you, Berkman's got
15 inches.
15.
That's not 5. 15.
15.
Wow.
Fortunately, it was light and fluffy, relative, to that, and so it wasn't too bad on the snowblower and the shoveling.
All right. Well,
we got the jackpot.
Yeah. Enjoy
Nice.
skiing, man.
Enjoy the skiing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody. We'll good luck to everybody this weekend, and we'll see you back here hopefully next week ahead of Christmas and our Packed Bowl. Take care.
On.
Go Mongols, get it done.
That'd be amazing. See both